December 2013, Ebola was first seen in Guinea. By 2014, it was in Liberia and Sierra Leone. And Kidsave, we are working in Sierra Leone. A lot of medical professionals believe there could be a pandemic across the world, killing millions. It was in New York. Ebola was in Texas. Anyone here remember being a bit nervous about Ebola? Well, people were dying, and they were dying in horrible ways. And children, often losing their families, would end up back in their homes alone, blood-spattered walls, their goods taken out, their possessions burned to stop further infection. And nobody was prepared for the mass influx of orphans that was to come. The government of Sierra Leone registered 8,600 orphans, whereas Street Child UK believed there were over 12,000 within the country. The government was stretched beyond capacity. They built interim care centers to take in these children, and these are now becoming permanent. At Kidsave, we had been working in Sierra Leone for the last 5 years, running our family visit model, where we train local communities and adults and families to take in orphans, take in children out of institutions for short-term visits, and to advocate for them in their communities. Oftentimes, they'll find them permanent families or become permanent families for them themselves. But when Ebola hit, again, no one was ready. We had antiquated computers there, of course, poor internet connections, and so you'll see an example of our partner organization's attempt to organize this chaos as children came out every day needing help and trying to track and keep an eye on them. And clearly, we needed a better system. This is an Ebola checkpoint during the time. It was hard to get through cities. You had to wash with chlorine, get your temperature taken, and whole cities and communities we worked in were quarantined, which means you couldn't get in or out, and hard information, hard copies, always had a chance of being burned. You couldn't get out of the city. So that's when GlobalGiving reached out to us and helped connect us with JourneyApps, a South African technology company that helped to build us an app to help track and help these children. You can see our database, the back screen there, showing some of the different interim care centers and orphanages that are working with us to help get these children permanent families. This is Sadatu, one of our social workers in our program. She's entering the information into the app of a young boy who lost his family to Ebola in the village of Sembahun. This helps data hygiene as well because only Sadatu enters it as a first person. When she enters a Wi-Fi enabled area, it automatically uploads into our database. Another strong aspect of this app is that it actually marks where the person enters this information through GPS. So we can go back and find originally where these children were, but especially find where these unknown and unregistered orphanages are and institutions that have these children. Now, the law in Sierra Leone is that all orphanages must register with the Ministry of Social Welfare, but there's not the capacity for it. It's just not a reality. And so this is actually an unregistered orphanage in Sierra Leone. So how many children are living outside of family care in Sierra Leone? Nobody knows. Nobody's counting. And how many kids lost their families to Ebola? Nobody knows. Now this is Haiti, 2010, after the earthquake that killed over 200,000 people. And similarly to Sierra Leone, no one knows where a lot of the orphanages were, where large populations of the children are, and still nobody's counting a lot of this throughout the world. And so what we need is a better system, really, to count these children and to find them, because children not counted, children not identified, can't be helped. And they can end up languishing in institutions for an unknown amount of time and having massive psychological repercussions. And this is what's so exciting about the app that we had the help of GlobalGiving and JourneyApps to build, is that now we're able to track and help many of these children. But we're still looking for help because we want to incorporate even better things into the app, like biometrics. So, we're reaching out looking for that so we can do fingerprinting and follow these children and know more about them. And so how does that tie into these kind of goals of development, these broad goals we have? Well, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN, the very first goal is to end poverty. And the first measure of that goal is to implement nationally appropriate social protection systems and measures. And if we want to do that, if we want the measures, we have to actually count these children. We have to know where they are if we want to build these, these systems to actually find and help them. And so this is where Kidsave works. These are the countries we're in now, tracking orphans, tracking children outside of family care, and trying to protect them and help them get into permanent families. Now, the world's attention has moved on from Sierra Leone, but Kidsave's attention has not. And our most recent project there is in Pujahun, where we've recently identified 240 Ebola orphans living in an interim care center. We have the current budget to actually target 65 of them for permanent family care within their community, and that's what we're doing. Now, we've had success in our projects, of course, and you'll see in the yellow is Bintu and her cousin Omar. They lost their family to Ebola. They were quarantined within their hut, and eventually, when they were evacuated out to Bo, they met Elizabeth, a local trader at a Kidsave event, who took them in, and now they're a family. This is Chief Christopher. His hands are as strong as the rocks he breaks for a living into gravel. He's actually a chief in the Kenema area. He vets families for us, and he met 3 Ebola orphans at a Kidsave event and would later take them into his family. They call him Dad. And he said without our program, something terrible would have happened to these children, and most likely they wouldn't have survived. Now, we are currently tracking and trying to help hundreds of Ebola orphans in Sierra Leone. We've put a decent amount actually, over 100, into permanent family care, but there are so many kids still out there that are being forgotten. We don't know where they are. And so we're really looking to count these children. And these are our choices, right? We can either push forward and count these children, build plans for what happens when the next disaster that's coming happens, right? And we can put them into families, as you can see here, or we can do nothing. But we want to thank GlobalGiving, and we want to thank JourneyApps, and thank all the donors and all of you who do such good work. Thank you.